Hi everyone, good evening. Are you guys able to hear me? Good evening. Hello. Sorry, I just understood that only the hosts have permission to speak. So I've requested the co-host to kind of let everyone unmute and speak because we want to keep this interactive. We want to discuss, what professionally have you, in your experience, you know about the topic, and you can as well contribute to the discussion. So I think now it is unmuted for everyone. So good evening again. I hope you guys are able
Good
to hear
evening.
me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. Well, thanks for joining. Uh, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Niral Sutaria. I passed my chartered accountancy in 2011, and since then I've been in the systems audit area. I've been with PwC professionally, and I've worked purely in systems audit for past I think now more than 10 years. And we have come a very long way. When we say IT audit or systems audit, the way we used to perform IT audits even 5, 6 years back, it is very different these days, and it is going to be even more different in the coming days. I think this is an area in terms of professional procedures which is changing at a very rapid pace, and I'm sure you guys understand that very well, being associated with ISACA and closer to the IT side of audit. So we'll we'll start with the today's session, which is on the artificial intelligence. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have heard about this term. You guys know what the technology is, and in today's session we'll try to understand at a process level, from an auditor's perspective, from a chartered accountant's perspective, what artificial intelligence is, or even, let's say you're not a chartered accountant, but still from an IT auditor's perspective, kind of understanding the AI process in simple terms, that how it actually works and what are the high level risk and controls that we should look for when we come across artificial intelligence at any of our clients. Or let's say if you're associated in industry, then if you are planning to implement AI or planning to embed AI in any of the tools, then also it's important. So before we start, just wanted to quickly know how many of you have some experience in artificial intelligence, or have worked on some tools having AI, or have any experience at all in this area. Anybody wants to talk or respond?
If chat box can be disabled.
Chat box is disabled right now.
Okay.
No, I'm asking, Nemai, is the chat box disabled? You would want the chat box to be enabled?
Yeah. Enable so that people can share their views, whatever you are asking, rather
Right.
speaking.
I have enabled, sir. I have enabled.
Okay. So chat box is enabled. but I would always prefer you to speak and respond. We are a very small group, so we can keep it a bit informal and interactive. So you have something to say, Nemai?
No, sir. I have just heard about that, but not have any detailed idea. That's why I have joined this to understand the how it this system audits works and the difficulties and all these things.
Right. Well, thanks for sharing. Anyone else in the group who wants to talk about what they know in AI? Yeah. Okay. No one. All right. Then let's move ahead with AI. So this is the agenda for today's meeting. Uh, I like to quote this for AI, which is quoted by a scientist who is no more. He passed away in 1990. At that time, he had said that an year spent in AI is enough to make one believe in God. So very strong and powerful statement. And as we are seeing in today's day, AI is becoming a very powerful technology. I don't know if you guys know about Chat GPT. How many know about Chat GPT? Anybody who knows about Chat GPT? Okay, so nobody knows about this. So after the session, you can just Google Chat GPT. It's a very powerful chat tool which can answer you almost anything. Okay, it's been in the news a lot of times. It can answer you about whatever questions that you have, ranging from, let's say, you have some question on IFRS to you have some question on uh, you want to write something as a article, or as a you want to prepare a speech. It can answer, it can tell you almost anything. It can also help you decide between your decisions. It's almost like talking to a real person, and it is in an instant it can respond you. Okay, if you want to write a short essay, let's say on some risk, okay, business risk or something, okay, it can instantly give you those responses. Okay, so very powerful thing which has come up, and I'm sure AI will be as we go ahead, will be embedded in all forms of technology that we are using today. Okay, so starting with the definitions, AI, a technique which enables system to mimic human behavior. Okay, so nothing new over there. Machine learning and deep learning are two subsets of AI. Machine learning is a type of AI technique which enables systems to learn. So as soon as the technology starts to learn itself, based on the outputs, it classifies into machine learning. And deep learning is again a subset of machine learning, where deep learning can be, is a type of ML technique which makes use of neural networks. So neural networks very similar to what we have in our brain. Okay, and you kind of make something similar to that in order for the system to learn a lot of things from a vast amount of data. So Chat GPT is a classic example of deep learning, and I would highly encourage each one of you after this session to go Google Chat GPT and see what it can do. Okay, and as you being interested in technology, being associated with ISACA, definitely we need to know. I mean, you have to know about this new AI thing which is on the internet. Okay, let's go to the next session, which is use cases and assurance challenges. So just some statistics on how AI is expanding, and how AI as a branch is seeing a lot of investments In fact, it is also estimated that it can boost GDP by a quarter by 2030 for a lot of economies. So it's an emerging technology which is gaining pace, and we should keep up. Some use cases of AI, okay, where the uh, businesses are using it. So there is a multinational company who is using AI based scheduling in their warehouses. Okay, they are increasing their productivity and increasing their sales number. So what the AI system here does it that automatically based on consumption patterns, based on lead time, based on sales order data, it automatically decides procurement decisions that we need to procure this many raw materials from this vendor in order to meet this sale orders, and this is the sales forecast, and hence we need to kind of have this much ordering levels. So that is a complete and as the time goes, it learns about new lead times of the vendor, new sales data, and kind of makes purchasing decisions. You know about Visa and Mastercard, the card companies, and these days even a lot of banks, they use machine learning to avoid frauds. Okay, you may have noticed that if you make any high amount transactions on your credit card or debit card, okay, immediately you receive a call from your bank that whether it's you who are doing this or not, because this card companies and banks, they have an algorithm within them, which is essentially an AI algorithm that learns about your spending habits and identifies which spend is an unusual one or a potential fraud kind of a transaction, and tries to identify them and avoid them. Okay. Everybody uses Uber and Ola, and even they have a machine learning algorithm which computes fare based on demand and supply. So let's say you are the auditor of these companies. Okay, and how would you give assurance that the purchasing ordering decision taken by the system are appropriate, or how can you give assurance that all the fraudulent transactions will be recognized by this AI tool? Okay, or for a cab aggregator, that the revenue which is coming up on the Uber and Ola platform, that revenue is the correct fare which is given by the system. So these are the type of challenges that you can have when clients are using AI in their business processes. The why it is difficult is because the technologies are increasing in its complexity day by day. They are less transparent. Traditional testing approaches are no longer sufficient. So traditionally, chartered accountants are used to vouching verification, and it they will input something in the system and see the output and match it with their manual recalculation and check. But those traditional approaches cannot work in an environment where AI and emerging technologies are being used. And the speed of changes is at which the technologies are changing makes it again challenging for assurance professionals to roll out formal trainings and update the methodologies. Still, regulator and bodies and professional bodies are in their initial stages of providing formal frameworks and guidances on how you should go about auditing these emerging technologies. Okay. So these are some of the challenges from an assurance or audit perspective on AI and other emerging technologies. Uh, Before we go on to the next session, any thoughts on the last session or anything you want to discuss before we move on? Any example that where a technology is cutting edge or using AI, which we can discuss? Well, very quiet set of people. Okay, we'll move on to the next session, which is understanding AI process and risks associated. So, a simple AI process, okay, depicted in this diagram. First, the AI processing logic will be there in the system where you'll define how the AI will be processing the transaction or what it will learn. Okay, there is data coming in the AI process and there is result going out. Okay, an important element in the AI process is the feedback process, that whether the result is right or wrong. Okay, depending on that, the AI processing will learn that what it has to do with the next set of live data. Whether if it's wrong, it will learn that okay, this type of data is wrong. If it's a feedback is right, then it will learn that the set of data next time when it comes, I have to give the result right. Before this, there is also something called as test data. Okay, that before you connect the AI processing logic to the live data, you'll also feed the AI processing with some test data. Through the test data, you'll make your AI processing learn about you know about this about how to handle the transactions and give out the results. And this will be kind of a one-time process, test data, feeding the test data into AI processing and getting the results. And after that, you'll connect it to the live data and it will l- learn itself as it goes along. Okay, so this is a very simple depiction of how a process, an AI process is designed. And usually all the AI process more or less are designed in same manner. Live data comes in, AI processes it based on its experience, gives the result, gets the feedback, and based on the feedback, it learns whether it needs to change its logic or not. Okay. So any questions in this process before we move ahead? Okay, we'll move ahead. So we are going to see the in each of these sub processes. Data input process we'll call the first process, second process is AI algorithm, and third process is results and feedback process. So in each process we'll see what are the various risks and what could be the internal controls that can be there at the organization, starting with data input process. The first risk is about data bias. When the AI processing will process two data sets differently. Okay, now let's say in the test data, you are having, let's say, we'll take an example. We are making an algorithm for loan approval. Automatically, AI will suggest whether a bank should be approving this loan or disapproving this loan. Okay, so you are feeding the data from the previous bank loans which were given to the customers and seeing the trend that what kind of customers are repaying on time, what kind of customers are not repaying on time. Okay, and you'll feed that to the AI processing algorithm to learn, so that when a new application comes based on the experience learned from the previous data, the AI process can decide. Let's say in the test data, you only had all the users with surname Shah. Okay. What if tomorrow there is a loan application from a person whose last name is different? Okay. AI may look at that data set differently. Okay. And that is what we want to, set up correctly when we are, addressing data bias. That the test data that we give to the AI processing is unbiased. it has a mix of all the data types. It has a mix of, let's say, male, female, uh, and customers equally. It has a mix of customers with all age groups, so that the AI doesn't take any decision, or the AI algorithm is not biased. Okay. So what kind of controls we can expect the users to, the organizations to have? That there should be independent review of the test data for biases by independent users, not the ones who are involved in developing the AI processing, but somebody independently checking the test data to see that the test data is not skewed towards certain type of users. Or let's say there are, we gave the AI processing 20 loan applications to learn from. 15 of them are male and only 5 are female. Okay, so we need to have independent reviews that the test data doesn't have any bias. There can be several forms of biases. Okay, and there are several articles and several types of biases all explained in detail, which need to be addressed. Okay, I'm not going into much details about what are the different types of biases, but to just to give you an idea that what is bias and how bias can creep in, just give you this example. And the test data need to be independently reviewed for biases as a control. Also, as the time goes after you put your AI processing in the live environment, there are also chances of it developing biases from the live data. Okay, because certain type of certain ethnic users may uh, sorry may take certain type of loans, and certain type of locality may not repay loans, etc., and AI may create a bias against them. So it has to be carefully seen that what data points AI processing is learning from, and it doesn't learn from the this such data points which can inadvertently create bias in its processing. Okay, so that can be an ongoing control that organizations can have, that AI model on a that they review AI model on a periodic basis to ensure bias hasn't crept in. Next risk is incomplete test data. Okay, but test data does not cover all possible scenarios. Test data scenarios aren't real world like. Okay, and there is something called as training test data test and validation data set, and I'll come to that. But incomplete test data by its name itself suggests that what risk we are trying to address. We need to have test data complete. We need to have test data with real world scenarios. We should ensure that it covers all scenarios and it all permutation combinations, and overall the test data that we are feeding the AI system for learning is adequate. Okay, there is something called as training data and validation data. What is training data? So even as part of test data, it is divided into two: training set and validation set. Training set is used to train the AI model, and validation set is used to test the AI model based on training. These both are part of test data, and there has to be an appropriate mix of both. I cannot have training data just 20% and validation data 80%. Okay, so training and validation data set has to be in proper proportion for AI process to learn properly on what it needs to do. Expected control mix of test data depends on volume, complexity, and scenarios, and indicative mix of training data and validation data set is this. So there should be again review of test data for these elements. Okay, and a documented process of selection of scenarios and data mix as part of test data input is expected. So when they are implementing the AI system. Okay, move to the next risk: unauthorized collection of data. So when you are collecting your test data, or when you're collecting live data, you need to be careful about from where the data is being collected. Uh, it should not be that the data is not authorized for use and you are collecting that data. So all the data input sources as part of live data or test data should be validated for authorization of use. All new data input sources should undergo formal review process for usage authorization. Okay, so whatever data that we are collecting in test and live data, it should be, an authorized collection that you do. Shouldn't be that, let's say, in our loan application information, there are certain information asked on the application form, but then your AI is designed to find that user on Facebook and check what kind of user that is without the permission of the user. So, that's not something uh, advisable. So, unless authorized, of course. So, need to be sure that the data is collected from authorized sources. Going to the next sub process, which is AI processing, and what are the risk and controls in AI processing that we should look for. Okay, first is the AI algorithm logic itself is inaccurate and improper. Okay, so may not be accurate in some scenarios or is changed over time from its initially intended design, or AI models are not aligned to the current business objectives. Okay, so let us take the first one, that AI algorithm logic may not be accurate in some scenarios. Okay, so uh, if we have to take an example again of our loan approval algorithm, so we did discuss this example before, that let's say the algorithm is making some decisions based on the uh, account balance of the user, and not and giving less importance to credit score. Okay, which is not an accurate design. It may have learned it from some of the past test data, but then the weight that the algorithm should give on credit score versus how much net worth the customer has with the bank needs to be appropriate. It has to be accurate. Next is on AI models not aligned to the current business objectives. Okay, so if we take an example of purchase orders, which are created automatically by the system based on, in our um in the previous session, we learned that there is an organization who determines the purchase requirement based on the various elements. So it is also important that this purchase decisions are aligned to the business objectives. Currently there are some geopolitical tensions in some areas, and it should not happen that the purchase orders are automatically raised to a vendor in a certain country, even after uh, there being geopolitical tensions and uncertainty of goods being delivered. So the AI models need to be continuously aligned to the current business objectives. Okay. There is also a chance that AI models are outsourced, or there are small elements of AI processing where the organization end up using the third party off the shelf AI products. Okay, let's say an example of chatbox. Okay, where uh, these days a lot of companies are using automated chat boxes which are AI based. Let's say they outsourced it to some company, okay, and did not really check the authenticity of what kind of chat it will do with its customers. And it may happen that the chat bot, okay, it starts interacting with the customers in a very rude manner. Okay, so which may be detrimental to the company image. So it is important that when this third party AI tools are bought for implementation, a thorough validation is done by the user entity. Okay, So the expected controls, periodic review of AI algorithm logics and rule sets. It's important, not just at the inception, but a continuous kind of review of algorithm logic and rule sets is needed. Listing of all AI models along with their current algorithm logic can be a good, documentation practice. And third-party AI models should be validated. So that's on feedback. The this risk. Next risk is insufficient documentation and auditability of AI algorithm. So AI algorithm evolve fast. Okay, uh, it today it is probably giving loans or approving loans only basis the credit score. Okay, but tomorrow it is also uh, considering a lot of other parameters like his current salary or current profitability, the income tax return filed. Okay, so all those things it starts to consider and starts learning. Okay, so the AI algorithm evolves very fast based on the data that it gets and the feedback that it gets. And it is difficult to then determine that how AI algorithm has reached a conclusion. That is why it is important to enable auditability in algorithm. When I say auditability, it's kind of a logging that if an algorithm logic is currently A and tomorrow it becomes A plus B, and after a month it becomes A plus B plus C plus D. Okay, so that auditability, that why it turned from A to A plus B and so on. Okay, so that needs to be logged somewhere, that because this reasons the algorithm is now also considering A plus B, and after learning some more things the algorithm is also considering A plus B plus C plus D. Okay, so those kind of auditability or logging mechanism should be enabled. uh, so the risk that if that's not enabled, you can't explain the results of an AI model to external stakeholders, because you do not know how your AI model has learned something. And as per GDPR in Europe, individual has a right to understand how a decision was reached by an automated decision making system and contest the same. So in Europe, it mandates companies to enable this auditability and explain reasons why, if a certain decision is taken by a system, that why the decision was given by the system, and also contest it. So they need to have auditability in Europe. We have discussed about the control. So auditability needs to be enabled at inception. You can't enable auditability after you have reached A plus B plus C plus D, because you don't know how B, C, and D were reached. Okay, so you need to enable the auditability at the inception itself. So documentation around AI model and logic, including details on how AI model will evolve over time. So that is also control you'd expect. Next risk is system override of manual controls. You may have heard about manual override of system controls, but in AI, there is also a chance of system override of manual controls. There may be some decisions having such nature complexity and whose result have such impact which needs manual intervention. Okay, so for some cases, like let's take an example where where quoting Chief Justice of India, who said that AI should never be allowed to substitute human discretion in judicial function. Okay, so there are certain elements or there are certain cases even in business where you will definitely require a human to look at, or human to have the oversight on the transaction before it is processed by AI. Now the risk is that over time, as AI starts learning, it may decide to override this manual intervention. Okay, it will not give those transactions for manual review itself to the to the person, and processes the transactions by itself. So that is a risk. The expected controls that we put in place adequate manual intervention in the design, and we periodically review transactions to ensure manual intervention is not bypassed by AI system. Next, in the AI processing is ineffective AI model security. So an attack could be in the form of false positive or false negative data inputs, which can influence the evaluation of the AI model into an undesired design. The term is called adversarial machine learning. Now, let's say I know that an organization is using AI to make its purchase decision. I understand that there are some things that if I make this 50, 60 inquiries with this name, the AI model will learn to give purchase order only to me for supply, and I start giving those inquiries to the AI system, and I kind of make the AI learn adversely in my favor. Okay, so that is also a form of an attack on the AI system. Recently, McAfee, who is a security company, they demonstrated how a self-driving car can be fooled to drive over speed limit. Okay, so it's an interesting video. You can maybe Google afterwards, where they put up a sign, okay, where the sign said 40, but then they just did something, to the sign, not like they wrote 400 or something, but then the driverless car started thinking that the speed limit is 80. Okay, so maybe it was an invisible tape or something that they put, and they fooled the self-driving car that the speed limit is not 40, it is 80 or 100 or something. Okay, so that is also an indication of weak security in AI processing. What controls we can expect? So AI model should be part of the AI governance framework. Okay, which means it should have all the IT general controls like access management, chain management, etc. Uh, Also, there should be appropriate controls to identify fake data inputs, duplicate data inputs, etc. To make sure that whatever data it is learning from the live data, it is not fake. It is not coming from the same source, and only genuine live data is being fed for AI to learn from. Okay. Next risk, unclear accountability for AI algorithm results. So organizations over time tend into having this attitude of relying on the system for actions. Okay, because there will not be a clear responsibility of define of the actions taken by the AI algorithm. Okay, they may say that okay, it's the system which did this. We don't know how it works, and it is the system who is calculating it. We don't know kind of attitude. Okay, so the expected control is that a clearly documented responsibility framework, which includes periodic review of AI model, etc., should be in place. Every sub process in the AI process needs to be owned by, or a responsible person needs to be defined for every AI process. The framework should include control owners for all phases, like that input data process, there should be process owners. AI processing, there should be process owners. Feedback process, there should be process owners. Results process, there should be process owners and responsible people, etc. Okay, so there has to be enough accountability for the results which are produced by the AI system. Okay, we come to the next business process in the last, sorry, next sub process in the last one, which is the results process. The first risk is inadequate update of the model algorithm. Okay, so AI algorithm is designed to read selective data points in the feedback process and not all the data points. Okay, so as we were saying, in a loan approving algorithm, let's say the AI algorithm only considers credit score. It doesn't consider any other parameters, and that's not useful. Okay, new data points which can make AI processing effective aren't considered, resulting in new scenarios not being learned. Okay, let's say education qualification is an important data point which a bank considers when approving the loan. But if an AI is not designed to take that into consideration, then uh, it may not, be effective. I'm not saying, that qualification should be important. was just an example. But just trying to give a perspective that what all data points should be considered and important, they should be taken up by AI for feedback and learning. Expected controls that to ensure all relevant data points are considered by the AI model. A review of data points from results to ensure over time new data points, if any, are considered. When the AI processing was created, maybe only 4 data points were considered for loan approval. But now there should be also more data points to be added. Then that review also over time should be done. That should there be new data points to be added for loan approval, or the 4 only data points are sufficient, so on. Next risk is inadequate reviews of the results produced. So we did discuss in our previous, risks that it is important that the results produced by AI are reviewed on a periodic basis. Okay, so it is very important. You can Google this example where Microsoft created a Twitter AI user, and in just some time, some people made it learn abusive languages, and the Twitter AI robot started, tweeting racist comments. Okay, which is again bad. If something like that happens to a business, which is a bank, which is dealing with financial transactions on a daily basis, it can be a catastrophe. So expected controls are adequate periodic review of results produced by the AI model versus intended results. So it is important that organizations review not 100%, but at least at a high level, or at least on a sample basis, that what results are produced by the AI system, do they sound reasonable, or is there something to be changed? Okay. Next is recurring incorrect feedback loops. Very interesting risk. An AI model can get into recurring feedback loops that aren't essentially not true. Okay, so let's say in this example, a model denies the loan to a customer based on the past rejections the customer has got. Now, AI model rejected it again. This rejection is also considered again to reject loans in future, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the customer's creditability has changed. Customer is a high net worth individual, but AI model will see that in the past 10 loan applications are rejected, and that data point it will consider and even reject 11th loan application, and then the 12th loan application, only based on past rejection it may start learning that if in the past it has been rejected so many times, which means it's not a credit worthy customer. So we have to design the AI process to not get into recurring incorrect feedback loops. Expected controls, again, periodic review of results produced by the AI model versus intended results with data analytics for feedback loops, which means you can see if there are same entity or same transactions repeating multiple times, which means it has probably gone into an incorrect feedback loop. Well, that concludes all the risk and controls. There is one more method that I would like to share with you on how about auditing AI, which is called confusion matrix. So, if it's a simple AI system, you can do this test. Scenarios you can bucket into 4 types: true positives, true negatives, false positives, and false negatives. Okay, so let's say you took 100 samples and saw how AI is processing those samples. AI model says no, where the result is, let's say, yes and no, for simplicity. Let's say AI model is saying no, and auditor predicted also no. Okay, then you'll put that figure over here. AI model says no, but auditor says yes. Then you'll put that figure in the number two. Sorry, yeah, in the second column. And so for AI model yes and auditor yes, you'll put it in the last cell. and where the AI model says yes and auditor no, you'll put it over here. Okay. So then you test the accuracy of the AI model by dividing the true positives and true negatives which are given by the AI divided by total number of transactions. So in this example on the screen, the accuracy is 97%, which means for 97 cases out of 100, AI model predicted yes, which was in line with auditor's prediction, and AI model predicted no, which was in line with auditor's prediction no. Okay, so in 3 cases it was different. So overall accuracy is 97%. So you can have this kind of testing, just sort of a black box testing, but straightforward testing. Uh, an accuracy closer to 100% is always favorable. It's a simple to use testing method, but as the AI model becomes complex, it's not very, favorable and efficient method to test accuracy. Well, in conclusion, emerging technologies are bringing new audit challenges. We articulated some of the risk and controls. We tried to understand how a simple AI process will be working and how each sub process will have its own risks, and we'll have several other guidances and frameworks as we go along, and these procedures will evolve with emerging technologies evolving and changing every day. So that's all from my side on this session. I'll take any questions if anybody has, or we can we can take up a Q&A if anybody wants to talk or have your views on this. So any questions? Anybody, any questions? Well, Chirag has a question about the recording. I'm not sure. Maybe Nisha can answer that. Nisha, are you there on the call?
Yes, sir.
So there is a question whether this recording will be available for future reference.
Okay. Nihir sir, please stop. Nihir
Sorry?
sir, hello. Nihir sir, Nirav.
Yeah.
हाँ
Yes.
हाँ कंप्लीट कर दीजिए, कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है किसी का.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Thanks.
Okay.